Call the City Council work session to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
The first item is actually going to be the Election Commission.
Thank you. Forgot that. The Election Commission meeting. Thank you.
Mayor Clark,
Here.
Councilman Lamore,
He's excused.
sorry, Commissioner Icoangeli,
Present.
Commissioner Germaini,
Here.
Felder,
Here.
Vining,
Here.
and Whitman.
Here.
All right, the first order of business on the Election Commission would be the approval of the minutes from the Election Commission meeting held on Monday, December 4th, 2017 at 6 p.m. And we can do a, just all in favor.
I'll make a motion that we approve the December 4th, 2017 Election Commission meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Icolangi, supported by Commissioner Germaini to accept the minutes from the December 4th meeting. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Then there's some action items here for us to go through
Correct.
today, and you'll need roll calls? On some.
On some. So the first one I'd like to take a regular vote. The resolution delegating certain duties to the clerk treasurer for the election. Just a reminder that these are just normal duties that I generally that I have to do to complete an election, but it is required that the commission give me the approval to do so. So I just need a motion for the resolution delegating certain duties to the clerk treasurer.
And the resolution is with the information for the commissioners.
And it's
here.
the same as it's always been. There was nothing that needed to be changed.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution regarding the delegation of certain duties, certain to be spelled correctly, of the clerk treasurer.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Icolangi, supported by Commissioner Germaini to accept the resolution. Looking for a roll call vote. Please call the roll.
Yes. Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Lamore is excused. Icoangeli,
Yes.
Germaini,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Whitman.
Yes.
Okay. The next item would be the approval of the appointment of election inspectors, and that list is included in your packet as well, designated by election inspectors by precinct.
Make a motion, Your Honor, or make a motion that we approve the election inspector roster.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Icolangi, supported by Commissioner Whitman to accept the election inspectors. Are you looking for a roll call for?
No, we can do all in favor.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good.
On that same piece of paper is the list of absent voter board inspectors, so I need approval of those as well.
Motion to
A
accept it.
motion.
I didn't,
They should be on the back.
On the
The AV Counting Board, City Hall, it's on the back of.
third grouping down.
now I see it, okay, yeah. I'll make a motion that we approve the absentee voter board inspectors.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Icolangi, supported by Commissioner Felder. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The next item is absent voter counting board, establish report time and location. The location will be the first floor conference room, City Hall, and the report time will be 12 noon. And I need a motion and a second.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we accept the absentee voter counting board and establish the time at noon and the location of first floor conference room.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Icolangi, supported by Commissioner Whitman to accept as stated. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Then we need a motion on the document that had the election inspectors and the AV Counting Board. You will also see a list of receiving board members. We need an approval of that list as well.
Your Honor, I motion that we accept the receiving board members as mentioned.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Felder, supported by Commissioner Icolangi, accept the receiving board members. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and then finally, the last item is the public accuracy testing date and the participants. It is an open meeting, so we will need a quorum, and we're proposing that we set that for May 1st at 10 a.m., which is generally when we've held it in the past, the week before the election. But if 10 o'clock doesn't work, we'll would like us to talk about it and adjust that time, or if we can't get a quorum for that day. So I'll need to know if that day and time is fine. We'll have to have a motion on that, and then I'll need to know the participants that are able to be there.
You're looking for members that are going to. I was looking for my phone for my calendar, but I'll just say I'll be there.
Okay.
What day of the week is that?
It's a Tuesday.
Thanks.
And it's a small ballot, so it shouldn't take long. We only have to test the one machine.
You need those names then today, or?
I do. I'm
Okay.
required to have them if it's at all possible. If not, there's still time. I can come back again and we can do another meeting of the Election Commission
For this purpose only?
for this purpose.
Okay. It is May 1st. It is a Tuesday at 10 a.m.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'll be there.
Okay.
I will as well. I can be here as well.
Okay. We have 4, and that's a quorum. So, and if there's others that can check their calendars and availability, we do it as a fallback and see from there. So, Clark, Vining, Whitman, and Germaine are the names. So we need a motion for that.
I'll make a motion that we establish May 1st at 10 a.m. as the public accuracy testing date, and that the mayor, Commissioner Germaine, Commissioner Vining, and Commissioner Whitman will be present.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Eichelheim, support by Commissioner Whitman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none.
Right, I have no further items, and I don't have any comments either, Your Honor.
Comments from the commissioners. I'm just going to give a quick, hopefully 30 seconds. So it seemed like we just went through a whole bunch of stuff. People are probably sitting here or watching me wonder why we have to do this, but as the clerk knows and has informed the council over the past couple of years, is by our charter required to have an election inspectors, which is a long list of names. Anybody who has an inquiry, who are the inspectors during elections that sit there and make sure things are done correctly, ballots are cast correctly, they can contact the clerk treasurer's office to get additional information. It may sound like formalities, but it's required to make sure we go through this. And as you heard at the end, that as this is called, commissioners are present and available for the date for the public accuracy testing. That's open to anybody that wants to be here on that day and watch how the ballots are run to be tested to make sure the instruments are working correctly. And we welcome the public. They're more than welcome to attend on that day as well, May 1st at 10 a.m. Here. So just a quick review. So
Yep.
if there's anything else.
There's nothing else, so we can just have a motion.
If there's any citizens' comments on the Elections Commission meeting, seeing none, we just need a motion to adjourn, correct? Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Eichelheim, supported by Commissioner Whitman to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'm not going to gavel. We'll conclude that, and then, once we have that completed, we'll go right to the work session, and unless there's something else that Clerk Treasurer needs.
Thank you, that's all.
Mr. Pastu, if you can get us started on the work session.
Thank you, Your Honor. First item I have is regarding my recommendation for the upcoming fiscal year 18-19 budget as it pertains to the ALCC. As you know, with our presentation last week, dealing with our immediate challenge with DTE's taxable value challenge, as well as, I think, the long-term impact of the plant closing. Again, it's 48% of our tax base. I did make a strong recommendation to cut in half the ALCC budget from $140,000 annual appropriation to $70,000. I did meet with some of the members of the executive board a couple of weeks, and I acknowledge it. Certainly, it was probably a hard approach in taking to get everyone's attention, but the essence of it was to try and build a new business approach, if you will, to try and secure other grant programs and funds to help sustain the center. I'm certainly concerned long-term with our ability as a city to maintain these services, and the sooner we can find other alternative programs and services to help defray some of the fixed costs, the better. So, kind of as an introduction, that was the discussion that we had. I know there's a number of members here in the audience here that wish to discuss it, and I told them we'd put them on the front end of the work session for those opportunities to address the council. So,
So I know this, we've been talking about having a presentation from the ALCC at a meeting. I don't know if this is that meeting or a future meeting?
a future meeting,
Future meeting,
yeah.
okay. And I know that the director is here and some other board members are here. If there's comments or any questions now would be the time. Yeah, at the microphone. Yep.
Aaron Lavender, 530 Toll Street. I'm the chair of the ALCC. First of all, I want to say thank you for having us here, the ALCC. Vince, I want to thank you for having that meeting. I think it was a very important meeting. It was a meeting that had to be had. But after having that meeting, I haven't been able to sleep. I haven't been able to get proper rest because I wasn't thinking about me when you brought those numbers to my attention. I was thinking about the impact it's going to have on our community and how many lives it's going to hurt. And as I was looking at it, I started to glance over the strategic planning that we put together back in May, the final strategic planning. And as I'm looking at it, that was well done by Professor Bill Richards, someone that you know very well, Vince, and that you really made the recommendation to have him here. The one thing that really stuck out to me the most was goal number one. If nobody knows what goal number one is, out of everything, goal number one was to improve working relations and transparency between the ALCC and the city to better serve the community. So as I look at goal number one in the strategic planning, when you talk about taking $70,000 from a community center, I don't know how that better serves the community. And transparency works both ways, not just from the ALCC part, but it comes from the city's part. And I don't believe that we both made the correct, or I should say, a hard enough effort to work together to sit down to talk about how we was going to move the community center forward and what we were going to do to make it a better working environment for everyone. And I just wanted to know, was the 70,000, well, you said the 70,000 wasn't written in stone, but you want to make a strong recommendation. And I asked you why or how did you come to that number of $70,000? And you said it was more of a shock value to see if you're serious. And I say to you, of course we're serious. None of the board members get paid to do this. This is something that we take away from our families. Our heart and soul is in it. I know I'm passionate about it. I know we just did something for Black History Month with these kids for 28 days, and to see how involved they were and how much of an impact that made, that the schools wasn't doing it, but the ALCC was doing that, to show something about their history and how important that was to them. So when I see something like that, I can only think about how devastating that's going to be to our community as a whole. And I'm thinking, is there any other way? Did we squeeze every ounce of whatever we could find to say, we're not going to take money. We want to invest. I'm thinking about investing into our children, not taking away from our children. I think that's the way to go, and technology and things of that nature. So when the kids are not in school, I think the ALCC is a viable option for them to get more learning, social skills, and all those things is very important. Willie Hall is here. He's the longest tenure director at the community center, and he wants to say something too.
And following there, and that's a hard do, I tell you. And even though I like to speak, thank you for having us, and thank you for having this workshop. One of the things that comes to mind is growing up and going to the community center, and I'll talk more from a human aspect of it, because I think that a lot of people get too much involved in numbers, and they take people out the equation. And I think that's a problem in a lot of ways, even in business, when you look at just numbers, because it's always a race to the bottom. Because we always want to make sure that the programs are the things that are going to be cut. If that $70,000 is taken away, and people say, well, how do you lose programs when you talk about money? Because it's a race to the bottom. People say, what do you mean when you say a race to the bottom? When you talk about people not being there, because we're going to have layoffs. If $70,000 is cut, we're going to have layoffs. We also have funding that comes from United Way. United Way gets a revised budget. Now we can't do the programs that we have in place that we've actually scheduled for the year. So now that money's cut. So it's a domino effect. It is a true domino effect. One of the things that, and we had this discussion years ago, and Commissioner Michelangelo, you were on the council then, and we were talking about cutting money. There was talk about cutting money from the center. And one of the things that I said was, you can invest in our kids now, or you can invest in the jail. And people say, well, that was kind of a hard statement to make. It's a true statement to make, because I think that what we do at that center is more prevention. We keep the kids on the straight and narrow. I remember growing up and being in second grade, and Commissioner Vining, it was your mother that told me I could do it, because, see, I was flunking out. And even after school, a young lady that works at the community center right now, secretary at the center, Janet Jett, only a couple years older than I am, we had school at her house. She's went on to go to the community center. So she's taken that passion and that drive and put it to work at the community center. The same thing she did with us as kids, she's doing with those kids now. I'm asking you not to take that away, to make sure our kids have the same opportunity as other kids. I sit back and I look at the census tract, 8318, 8319, those who are familiar with census numbers, knowing that's the lowest income in Monroe County, not just the city, Monroe County. So therefore, when you have that money and that low income is considered into the equation, you have what we call at-risk youth. Okay? At-risk youth. That community center is there for a reason. We're trying to equal the playing field out here for our kids. I have a daughter that's an attorney, came through the community center. Have a son that works for Rigid Tools, district manager, 7 states, master's degree, Northwood University. Have another daughter that will be a doctor end of this year. All grew up going to the community center, being a part of what our kids need to be exposed to. I'm asking you tonight, do not take that away from them. Do not take that opportunity away. We need it. It has to be there. I love what your mother did for me, because, see, I didn't get that in school. Because, see, I needed that. Her mother was like a mother figure to me. And when someone is telling you constantly that you can do it, you can do it, you can do it, and then not only telling you that, but showing you that, teaching you that, you're not going to get that anywhere else. Not in our community. That's a small, $70,000 is a small drop in a bucket to ensure our kids have stability in their lives. When I was president of the board, and I did it for 14 years, one of the things I talked about, one of the things that was talked about down here is, why are we feeding the kids? I had to go back to the board. Why are we feeding the kids? They want to know. Why are we supposed to be doing programming? Well, guess what? Some of those kids came back to me. That was their dinner. Because, see, they weren't getting that at home. We don't give kids a handout. We give them a hand up. Because the same things I learned coming through the community center is the same thing I do today, and that's help people. And it makes a difference in our community. There's other people that want to speak tonight, but I'm not understanding why it's a fight to make sure our kids have what's right. We volunteer. None of us get paid. We volunteer. We only want to help our kids, and that's what it's all about. They just don't go to that center and play basketball. They have tutoring. We have volunteers that come in. We have teachers that come in. We have coaches that come in. The kids need that community center, and we don't need programming cut, and we don't need people cut. Thank you.
Thanks, Willie. Just as we move forward, I know there's some others that want to speak, but as we handed out the agenda, there's equal topics that have to
I
be
understand
addressed
that,
in the
Mayor.
work session before the
I
meeting.
understand that. So we only got 2 more people to speak. We have the director and what the director.
Thank you.
He wants you to go next. With that being said, I also want you guys to also think about why you ran for office in the first place. It's to help the community and help the people. Never forget that. It's not always about numbers. It's about helping the people that you swore that you would protect and that you would help. Always remember that. Never forget that vital piece. That's what we're here for.
My name is, excuse me, my name is, this is working. My name is George Barrett. I live at 1326 North Rossler. I used to be a director of the community center, co-director for 17 years, but that was back in the 70s and 80s, so it's a different world and a different time now. But what I wanted to show you is where your $140,000 went last year. It's all about nickels and dimes right now because I know you guys are in a crucial time now because of the cuts. So what I done is I went over our budget, and I'm gonna bring you some clarification so that we can all understand where we're going with this, okay? First of all, your $146,000, this is how it was spent, okay? First of all, for health benefits, it came to, for 3 full-time people, health benefits with workman's comp was $26,509, okay? We pay our utilities from your money, that came to $15,406, okay? That adds up to $41,000. The wages for the 3 full-time and the 4 part-time came to $113,343, okay? That total came to $155,000. On top of that, we had to fix the boiler. That cost $5,163.30. That comes to $160,981 that has been documented and turned in last year to the IRS for our report. So we really lost $20,000 from you to make up for 3 full-time employees. Those full-time employees is an executive director, a secretary, and a full-time custodian. The 4 part-time employees get $9.25, and their wages came to, I had that down, but anyway, all it came to $160,981. My question to you guys, and I'm a dollars and cents boy, how can we run a community center on $70,000? The $40,000 that is allocated from the United Way that they allocated last year is to be spent on programs. Right now, we have no heat in the building. The boiler's down. My big question is, how are we going to fix this problem? Your $70,000 might pay some part-time workers and maybe some help. All I can say is that's the dollars and cents. I don't know what you're going to do, but it's documented. I'll leave you these. If you want more information, we got it at the community center. I sat down with our secretary and went over all these figures. As you can see, 160, we had to use 20,000 of our money just to make ends meet. And that's with executive director, secretary, custodian, 4 part. We don't even have a program director yet. I mean, there's a lot of things that can be different at that community center. I mean, a lot needs to be changed down there, and I agree. But that's between you people and us. But cutting it to 70,000, that's just opening the door. It's not, you can't exist. I mean, thank you for allowing me to explain these figures to you. I hope they're helpful. If you want this, I can present it to you to look at. I mean, it was rough handed.
Give the clerk, she'll make sure it gets passed on to the copies to the council.
So you understand that the dollars and cents where they were spent.
Thanks, George.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Anthony Hoskins, 334 Conant. I'm executive at the community center. Speaking about the cuts, the $140,000. If you cut it to $70,000, there's a lot of things that will happen that's not going to be good in the long term for the community, for the city, for the county. We had over 3,900 new stakeholders visit the community center in 2017. So 70,000, where are those kids going to go? Because our hours will be cut short, skeleton staff. We served over 13,000 plates of food last year for the kids, adults, homeless, just people are coming around to eat. And as Willie Hall said, a lot of people come in, we are their meal after school. Single parent homes, mothers may be working, may not have food. Their kids are here from the minute they get out of school until it's time for them to send home. We provided over 50 kids this winter with coats, gloves, and hats. We took 25 teens who were not have had the opportunity to get outside of Southeast Michigan, Northwest Ohio, as far as Toledo. We took them down to D.C. for a 3-day trip. Mindful, and loved it. Wrote reports, spoke about it. We talked about a lot of things about partnering more, giving more programming to more than just children. We started a senior citizen program. 5 days a week, something different that we do with kids. Our seniors. As far as bingo, knitting, ceramics, going around the town, different things, museums, movie days. We just started, since spring is coming, different things. We're going to have an aerobics class, a walking with the seniors and kids. Seniors with the children as an adopt a buddy, cookbook session. So we're, as we know, seniors, those recipes, they don't like to give them out. But we're having it with the children, they're cooking with them, so they're going to tell the recipe, and we're going to have a community cookbook. Also, we partner with different agencies around the county, around the city, MCOP. We have a healthy food stand where we get healthy food for our kids to get a snack during the day. Apples, oranges, tomatoes, everything, anything you could think of. That led to a healthy food clinic that we had on a Saturday, had over 70 people come in. So well received that we're going to do one in the spring or summer because it was in the middle of winter and just having many people out there was a big thing. And our community center is more than just a hangout, basketball, gymnasium, workbench. The tutoring, as was spoken, mentoring programs. We have worked with our county, the city hall, the jail, to help people who owe back child support do community service to help pay them off. Looking for job fairs. We're getting sent things. We're telling our young men, women, adults where to go to get for job opportunities. Community service days. We're cultivating, we're going to clean our community. So all the people who own houses, we're going to come and clean the clutter up. That's going to be June 16th. May 5th, we're having a literacy, citywide literacy program that's going to be at the community center. We're going to go out reading, teaching kids about reading, how literacy improves, that you need literacy to function in life. Backpack giveaway. Gave out 1,200 backpacks with school supplies in it last summer. So every year it goes up because we're doing more and more. We're getting out to more than the city instead of just being, as you think, just the east side. So we are being more transparent. We are being more open. We are doing more things to keep the city involved. If you feel you're part of a community, we want you down there. I'm always out speaking in different places. Councilman Whitman would tell you. She's my buddy. She's my partner in crime speaking. We're everywhere talking about our programming, networking with each other, doing things. So I implore you to please take a look at that $70,000 because it's a lot more things that's more important than the budget. I know we have to work both ways, and now us ourselves have to look, as Vince said, us ourselves we have to switch more into some programming, grant writing for operational costs to help supersede that. We know what's going on with DTE. We're here to step up to the challenge. We want to get here and make sure that we keep this community center going for another 75 years and beyond. So I implore you guys, please take a good look at that hard look, and let's work together and continue to grow, continue to become one. Make sure everyone feels part of the city. Because if this money is cut, I know people in that community will feel like no one cares. And once that happens, you know what can happen, something that good. Thank you for your time. And
Thanks, Anthony. Mr. Fastu, I know that we've got a couple more items. Is there any other comments regarding maybe you just want to review the budget process, where we're going from here?
Yeah, the next two steps that we do have another work session that we're looking to schedule next Monday night on the 9th, and then obviously the 16th looking at adoption. This is kind of an ongoing dialogue, following up with Anthony's comments there, understanding, and that's part of what I really wanted to accomplish with this, is long-term, we've got a challenge. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think the speaker's made a strong case for the importance of the ALCC in the community, but we do need to expand the revenue stream to keep the operations going. And that's really, I think, in many ways what I wanted to accomplish, certainly with what can be deemed as probably maybe not the best approach to get attention, but clearly the long-term implications are there. I want people to think that, if we lose half of our tax base, what is this going to look like? And clearly you make a case for it. And, as I've talked with other council members, I have no problem pulling back from that dollar amount, but we have to have a plan for programs and other revenue alternatives to help put in place the direction to make it long-term sustainable for the next 75 years, as Anthony indicated. So, but the two keys, we got the 9th and the 16th are two more opportunities that we at least have programmed now. So,
Very good. Thank you all for being here. Welcome to stay because there might be other budget discussions. Next item, please.
looking at treasurer and city attorney. You want to just briefly talk about the tax collection policy?
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and start, and then Matt, if you jump in, that's fine. So we're just coming before council today. Matt and I have discussed a change to our tax collections in that we currently accept postmarks for the winter tax deadline and the summer tax deadline. So if somebody postmarks something by a tax payment by June 30th and we receive it in our office, they will not be counted as late. However, the September 14th deadline, if it's postmarked, it doesn't matter. You have to have it in by September 14th, not postmarked by September 14th. And partly that's because we have to turn it around. Mostly it's because we have to turn that information around to the county right away. We do not, in the treasurer's office, we do not look at postmarks for water bills, for any other payments. So I received a couple of calls last year regarding this matter because someone said, well, you accept postmarks for the two tax dates, but you don't accept it for the September tax date and for other things. And that was a good point. So the city attorney and I discussed it, and we decided that for consistency's sake, that we were going to eliminate the practice of taking postmarks for the winter taxes and the summer taxes, the June and February deadlines. We have multiple ways that we didn't have before that they can be paid. We have the drop box, we have online payments, they can do an automatic withdrawal from their bank account, they can be paid online, and we are open, of course, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, and perhaps there's even something we can do with that, maybe in the future extend hours on that last day to make sure that people have the opportunity to get in. But we just felt that for consistency's sake, that it would be better to eliminate that. So, Matt, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
The only thing that I would add, Mayor, is that I did review the issue. There are some communities that go both ways. There isn't a legal standard on this. I support the clerk treasurer's view that consistent policy would make sense, and therefore I support her policy that we not accept postmarks for the future. And we thought it was important to bring this forward again at an open public meeting to at least discuss that issue so it's out there moving forward.
So we actually began that practice with the winter taxes in February, and not everyone heard about it. We were in between the website being transitioned over. I didn't have the opportunity to work with our communications director, so we did grant a grace period, so to speak. So if someone had theirs postmarked, we did accept it this time, but we made sure that those folks knew that was a practice we were going to be eliminating going forward. I've spoken with Jody Egan. We have a plan to utilize all of the social media avenues that we have. I would like to come back in at the work session after the tax payments drop to remind people of this. It's going to be bolder on the tax bills this time than it was. It'll be more easy to see, and we're probably also going to do an insert with the tax bill so that everyone is aware of it. So that's the plan. It's really, we're open to feedback, but we wanted to make sure that council knew what the plan was going forward.
Any questions or comments from the council? John?
Thanks, Your Honor. So if I understand it right, if I pay my taxes by the mail and drop my tax bill in the mail 5 days before it's due, and for some reason at the Detroit sorting center, they mix up, and you get it 1 day late, I'm gonna get an administrative fee, even though I put the bill in the mail 5 days before it was due.
Yes.
I don't think that's, personally, I don't think that's right. I think if a resident pays their tax bill on the postmark day that it's due, I think we should use that as the benchmark. Otherwise, we're telling people, don't trust the US mail.
Well, and that is problematic, and
Maybe, we had a conversation, is there a timeline of those that come in after the date that they're due, that things need to be shifted to the county or notice after made?
well, and those that come in with a postmark that would normally be acceptable, they can come in anywhere from the due date to, a month or so afterwards, and sometimes that is problematic in terms of bookkeeping, et cetera, and things that we have to transfer over. And that's why the September deadline doesn't work. We can't take postmarks for that because we do have to get the information over to the county. So we were just looking at fairness and trying to make it fair across the board for everyone. But we can certainly revisit it. I'm not opposed to it. This was not an easy decision by any means, and we're trying to figure out the best way to make it fair across the board.
Your Honor, may I make a suggestion? That
Absolutely.
maybe what we should take a look at is if you're going to do social media and put something in the tax bill, that maybe if people decide to mail it, it's got to have a postmark no later than 5 days before it's due, or they can pay it online or have it taken out of their bank account up until the day that it's technically due.
It just gives them another date they have to remember.
Well, I know,
And
but
that's the problem.
Well, in the current tax bills, I think they do say allow, I can't remember what it says, 5 to 7 days, or they did, we took it off, but allow 5 to 7 days for the post office to get them to us. And the truth of the matter is sometimes the post office never gets us the tax bill. The payment doesn't make it. But I'll be glad to revisit it. Like I said, this wasn't an easy decision, and I'm open to suggestions, and Mr. Buds and I can discuss it further.
I'm not trying to overcomplicate
No, I
things.
understand. It was a tough decision because there's a fairness issue kind of no matter how you look at it. So we were trying to do the best we could. Because we have no defense when someone says to us in September, you're not accepting my postmark.
One other comment, Your Honor, that we've had is there's also some that come in without any postmarks
Correct.
at all, which leaves us the problem of how do you handle that? And so, in my mind, trying to come up with some bright line rule that is the least possible for interpretation and questions for the clerk treasurer to have to deal with in terms of was this person timely or not. If she gets one that doesn't have a postmark, I really don't know how to deal with that situation, especially if it comes 5, 7, 10 days after the due date, and I guess that's the reason why I thought, in my mind, my goal is always how can I come up with the least amount of disputes as possible, and in my opinion, coming up with one that says, here's a bright line rule, it has to be in by this date is the clearest, I guess, of all the options.
So we can go back and talk about it further and see if there's something else we missed. I'm certainly open to that.
Your Honor, one other question.
Yes, John.
When somebody sends a tax bill in, do you stamp it, the envelope, when it comes to your office with the date?
No, we do not. We go, up until this point, we've just been going by postmarks, and then we keep the mail separated out. So we know everything that came in Monday, we know everything that came in Tuesday, and it's usually processed within 24 to 48 hours, depending on the volume of mail that comes in. And that's taxes, water bills, and all the other payments we receive. So,
So we don't timestamp anything?
not the payments, because that's, the clerk treasurer's office is stretched very thin right now, even being able to open all the mail. We open all the water bills by hand, we open, all the tax bills by hand, and that's not a complaint, it's just a time management issue that we struggle with. So then to go one step further and stamp the bills, the way to handle it instead, like I said, was to bundle it. And we know all the mail that came in Monday, December 31st, for instance. We know the mail that came in January 1st. We know the mail that came in January 2nd. And like I said, we usually process it within 24 to 48 hours.
Okay.
And we save all, when someone sends a postmark in and it says this February 15th, if obviously the date was February 14th for winter taxes, we keep that envelope. We send that back with them with the letter, a copy of it back with them with their letter saying that you're being penalized because this was the date. So we keep pretty accurate records. But yeah, we can discuss it further. I don't know. Again, it's something I struggled with as well, so I'm open to any suggestions. You're welcome.
Ms. Bastu?
Rutherford, got a
Yeah,
PowerPoint.
it
Yeah,
should
if we
be
could
on
set
there.
up,
It's on there.
got it,
There it is. Uh-oh.
I don't like that.
Flash drive.
There's no flash drive up here, so.
We got,
Got a couple.
That is what.
Does he have his?
Somebody shortcutted it from a thumb drive of some sort, so it can't find it on here.
got another thumb drive here if you want to use that, Ed, and that might be the quickest. We got another. Vince
That's the
brought
one that
another
was, that's the one it was taken from.
Yeah. Thanks.
There you go.
Thank you. Ed? Good
Mayor,
evening.
good evening, Mayor and Council. Michelle Dugan, 230 East Grove Street. I'm here tonight representing the Chamber of Commerce. And last fall, we came before you and told you we were hoping to transform a mediocre holiday parade, which had an event that had been around for 40-plus years, into Christmas Magic in Monroe Parade and Winter Wonderland. That has been accomplished. We're here to gain some insight from you this evening on what your perception was. But before we do that, Vince Botiford with the Monroe News will step you through some statistics. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Michelle. Hi, I'm Vince Botiford with the Monroe News, and we're the presenting and producing sponsor for Christmas Magic in Monroe, and you just heard from Michelle. And also, we partnered with Lieutenant Chad Tolstedt from the city as our event authority. What we really intended to do with this event in 2017 was create an opportunity from something that already existed around the holidays. That would be a great family event, something that maybe could use a breath of fresh air. And so in speaking with the chamber, this was the thing that we really thought would be a great thing to do. So it's a commitment from the Monroe News. It's a multi-year commitment to produce this with the chamber. It's a 3-year commitment. We're now in year 2 in 2018. And so we just want to give you a little insight and overview of the 2017 event, and then also set the table for 2018, as well as talk about the date. So first of all, I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to go there, but it was on December 16th, which was kind of a chilly night, and we occupied all of Old Town, and it was televised on Impact TV. It was publicized in all the local media, radio stations, the Monroe News, et cetera, and attended by everyone. I think we had, I like to say several thousand folks. I think Chad can talk a little bit more about the details. But we brought some really cool brand new elements into the center of town, including ice skating rinks, warmers for the public. So it was a pretty exciting night. This is the footprint that we proposed going into this event last year. And it's essentially the same footprint that we're going to request again this year But the parade route, you can see where it began in the staging area in red. The parade route itself was green and then ended in the city lot over at the riverfront. This year, we're considering a lot of different elements for Winter Wonderland and the parade, but essentially would be the same footprint and about the same time of day. So just to highlight some of the elements, what we have identified really as the most opportunistic time is the third Saturday in December. So this would be, basically a early afternoon, mid-evening parade launching at around 6 p.m. on a Saturday. So certainly we're not looking to expand this into the scope of time like Christmas in Ida. This is not, our vision is not to have a 3-day festival with fireworks. This is a several-hour event in Old Town. But some things that we did have this year, we had about 60 lighted parade entries. We had a vendor village, food trucks. We had live music, free hot chocolate, which we ran out of. We had public warming tents, VIP restrooms. When we say VIP public restrooms, they're for everyone to use, not just VIPs. All of our hospitality was for the public. We really didn't have any hospitality for so-called VIPs. We also had the gas heaters along the route. You saw a picture of that. Santa's Pavilion with free photos for the public, an ice skating ring, carriage rides. We had hospitality for the parade entrance. And virtually all of these public attractions were free and supported by our sponsors. So the 2018 event, really what we're seeking to do is to enhance and expand that magic. So stay within the footprint, but enhance a lot of those public festivities and activities around the event. And all that was possible by these sponsors. So really a lot of local and Monroe County-based businesses stepped up to help make this possible. So, and that will be the same approach this year to keep this as cost neutral as possible for the Chamber and for the city and also for the Monroe News. We're fortunate that this last event it was at least cash neutral, so we're hoping to do that again. The event highlights, again, these are some of the things that I think are important as far as the results. We worked really closely with the city departments and leadership on the logistics and the coordination, also including nonprofits and volunteers. So it really was a community effort. We all came together to do this. Chad will talk a little bit about safety and the issues. Really no incidents to talk about. It was a free holiday event, so there's no cost to attend or participate. That's new really for 2018. We did have an entry fee, which we're going to be waiving for the 2018 event. We had a lot of really great media coverage for Monroe, and that was, in the Monroe News, Impact TV, Nash FM was there with a live remote. So really, I think it really showcased and showed Monroe in a great light. And the event really helped promote downtown Monroe and our merchants. So the 2018 event and the production is underway right now. We do have a website. It's christmasmagicinmonroe.com. This is the front page of it. And you can see across the top where there's the schedule, parade map, sponsors. This is all the information from the 2017 event. This will all start to come down as we move to refresh for this year. So for 2018, really what our objective is to repeat the magic of the parade and Winter Wonderland, but enhance it. The date that we are proposing, and this will be formalized in a permit application, is Saturday, December 15th, 2018. That's the third Saturday of the month. And effectively contain the event in the same footprint as before. And this is new, and we're talking about this tonight for the first time. We're considering reversing the parade direction for better logistics, and Chad can talk a little bit about that too. We're also considering increasing the number and the quality of public amenities, the viewing areas, heaters, hospitality, bathrooms, et cetera. And then also coming up will be a letter for permit requests will be coming from the Chamber of Commerce utilizing the same technique that we did with this past year. So with that, I'll turn this over to Chad for his comments, and then for council and staff Q&A. Chad.
Good evening. Chad Tolstad, Captain with City of Monroe Police Department. Vince asked me to come and speak tonight. Just a few quick items to cover. I know Some of the city council members have offered suggestions as what we might do different for the parade, what worked and what didn't work. There'll be some logistical changes that we'll make in terms of road closures. There was also some things that we didn't I had not planned for, but I was speaking with Michelle Dugan and Vince Bodiford. We changed some foot patrol downtown. Normally along our parade routes, people are very spread out. Foot patrol is not necessary, but in these kind of events, similar to the jazz event, Jazz Festival, we put people on foot patrol. So that was something we added here that initially that I wasn't looking forward to, hadn't planned for. I'm sorry. The only issues we had during the event was there was one petitioner that was petitioning for fair wages, time off for people part-time. We simply spoke with them, said they couldn't disrupt the people that were attending the parade route. It was a non-issue. We didn't have any problems with traffic control. We didn't make any arrests. The event was very well planned by Vince Bodford and Michelle Dugan and a lot of other people that were involved with it, and they were very easy to work with, very open to suggestions. So the event overall, from the security standpoint and from my participation in it, went very, very well. As far as the reversing the parade route, something we'll have to explore a little bit further, speaking with Vince Bodiford. I see it as an option, but we'd always have to consider directions of travel. We'd be going against the natural flow of travel on Front Street. So something we'd have to look at to make sure that that's something we'd want to do and be safe for the people attending the parade. And then the no parking sign. The other issue that come up unintended consequence was we cleared the parade route, that we didn't have any cars on the parade route whatsoever, although the downtown businesses were less than happy with having no parking downtown. So something we'll be looking to change this year is no parking after 3 p.m. or closer to the event start time, so the businesses can run their businesses on Saturdays downtown, not to interfere with them, and work with the businesses. We quickly resolved that issue last year, working with some of the downtown businesses, and but this year we'll plan ahead so we won't have that issue.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I did have one issue myself during the parade, as I was trying to go to the parade. I went down 3rd Street and turned on Macomb, and I was trapped because all the cars turned behind me, and there was 2nd Street, Macomb was blocked off.
That's one of the issues we're going to resolve. It'll be blocked at 3rd. That way we won't come forward and have to do a U-turn and went back. So that will be one of the issues we'll resolve too, so that won't happen again.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you were aware.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
If there's any other comments or questions from council? Well, Vince, thank you for being here, and Michelle, and of course Captain Tolstead, just to give a review. Obviously, we'll look forward to the plans and getting ready for this year's great event.
Great event.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you all,
Good night.
thank you. Mr. Bastu, I think Mr. Griff goes next. Up. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council, elected appointed officials. I guess we've established a 3-year tradition here that you will allow me the opportunity to talk a little bit about national service. And in our community here in the city of Monroe and in the county of Monroe, that's primarily Senior Corps and RSVP. So I provided a couple handouts for you, place them at your places there, and I think you've got a lot on your agenda tonight, and I'm impressed by the seriousness of much of this, so I hope you take this as a brief respite, and I'm intending to blast through this quite quickly, but definitely hit the important points. The mayor introduced me as Mr. Griffke. I'm Joe Griffke. I'm the director of Monroe County RSVP. My front page here, I say national service is big, and we have over 243,000 volunteers nationally, with 340 volunteers right here in Monroe County. We provide a great value to the community, and by so saying, I illustrate that our volunteers worked over 65,000 hours last year, and which is valued at $1.5 million. We are funded by a grant from the federal government, from the Corporation for National and Community Service. That grant is just shy of $89,000. And this year, in 2018, we'll be getting $73,000 from the senior millage. So those are our two sources of funding, plus a lot of generous support from the Monroe Center for Healthy Aging. So for every dollar of millage funds that we took in 2017, we returned that back to the community in $28 worth of service. So we feel like we're doing a good job, and that's pretty good investment of our senior millage, and we're quite proud of that. We work with 57 different agencies, 57 different stations that includes everything from food pantries to schools to senior centers and everything in between. One of the key elements of RSVP is providing choices for volunteers. So even though we do a lot of good in the community, we have to keep in focus that our primary goal is to provide a meaningful volunteer experience for that senior volunteer. And in keeping with that, we're presenting to our volunteers over 250 different volunteer-type experiences throughout the year. There was mention of the backpack distribution. Our volunteers were there in force for that at the Arthur Lusso Community Center and in a couple other places across the county. So we're really happy and proud to be part of that work that's done over there at the community center. There's a couple statements at the bottom of this page, which might be construed as Joe Grifka tooting his own horn for a wonderful agency, but it's these awesome volunteers that really make everything happen for RSVP, and I'll just cut to the chase and go to the final paragraph there. There was a public opinion survey that was done during the last presidential campaign. I think I mentioned it last year when I was here. And in that survey, they wanted to find out how people thought and felt about national service programs, and it turns out it's one of the most highly accepted and highly thought of programs that we have going, pretty much up there with names like Habitat for Humanity and other across the country kind of names that have a lot of recognition but also enjoy a lot of support. 87% approval from the registered voters is an extraordinary approval rating. And so that's not laid at my feet, that's laid at the feet of those awesome volunteers that go out every day and do some pretty amazing experiences. And I think a lot of times when a volunteer shows up at your agency, you might not be thinking a lot about who that volunteer is or where they come from, but these volunteers obviously come from all walks of life, and some of these folks are incredibly experienced and incredibly well educated. But reverting back to the other side of the equation, one of the most profound experiences that we have happening in the school systems is having a grandma in there with the little kids, helping them do things like tie their shoes and helping them identify, where the tomatoes come from and really simple things like this. And those people are not highly educated. They're just highly something else, highly wonderful. So it doesn't matter what your education or experience has been. There's an amazing place to plug you in. The second page, I promise to be brief, but in food delivery, we had 35 people provide Meals on Wheels to 157 recipients. In transportation, we had 24 drivers provide 46 fragile seniors with transportation and logged over, close to 2,000 hours. In companionship, which the word doesn't maybe say what companionship really is, but it's a channel to these isolated seniors for all kinds of services. And when the senior companion goes in the home, they're not just there to take care of friendship issues. They're determining things like what's the quality of the food in the home, and does the person have adequate transportation? Are they plugged into the senior services network? So we had, in companionship, we had 36 volunteers provide 72 isolated seniors with a little more than 1,000 hours of service. Preventing elder abuse is another topic that's extremely important to us and has even gotten some national exposure. The Attorney General quite recently brought the issue of preventing elder abuse to the attention of the Corporation for National Community Service, and we said, au contraire, we've been doing this for quite some time. We had 12 volunteers distribute elder abuse prevention information to, it's really well over 3,000 or 4,000 people, but for the purpose of my grant, I have to be conservative, and I listed about 1,500. Respite companionship is really for the caregivers, and this is an intervention where we have our volunteer go in and spend some time with the person who's getting care and freeing up that caregiving adult. And